Happy Easter from Mighty Jabba's collection. I was looking at some of the photos that I had posted to Instagram over the years, and by the way, if you haven't followed me on Instagram, I would definitely recommend that because I post all kinds of sort of behind-the-scenes things and other things that maybe I'm working on for a video or just things that I think are interesting and people who like my channel would probably be interested in. But anyway, I was looking at some photos and I remembered that I had posted a sort of Easter-themed 3D print a couple of years ago, and I thought, well, you know, this would be a great idea for a little Easter video. So naturally, I looked around to see if I could find that print, and, you know, it's a couple of years ago. I couldn't find it anywhere. I don't know. So I decided I would just recreate it by reprinting it. That's the beauty of 3D printing, at least theoretically. You can just make more if you want to. Now, what it was, as you can probably guess here, was some eggs. The one that I posted was a single egg. And this is not the one. The one that I'm holding right now is the one that was kind of the inspiration for what I'm going to show you next. But this one is something from Thingiverse that was posted there. It's called a surprise egg, and you'll see why in just a minute. But, you know, in terms of the 3D model itself, it's not fantastic. It's got a lot of faceting there on the sides. It's not a smooth-looking egg, but we'll forgive that because when we open it up like this, we can see inside, and there is, in fact, a R2-D2 shaped yoke, which I think is pretty cool. And you can take him out, and he'll theoretically take him out. There we go. He'll be a little figure you can even play with or whatever. But there he just sits right there in this little, you know, compartment. And the cool thing about this print, I thought, was that it prints in place all in one piece. So you just, you know, print one thing and this is it. You've got it, and you open it up. You don't have to assemble anything. It's got a working hinge in the bottom there, as you can see. And it's even got a little clasp to keep it closed. So the guy who made this had posted a blank version so that people could make their own versions of this surprise egg. And naturally, I decided I would do that. And I made, well, I'm sure you can probably guess what I made, but I'm going to show it to you right now. This, of course, is, if I can get it open, there we are, Jabba the Yoke. This was a little harder to make and also harder to reproduce after a couple of years than I had thought. Basically, I used Tinkercad to import both of these models, and then I turned, well, first of all, I shortened the tail here because this is shorter than even the relatively short tail on this model normally is. And he just fell down. There he is. He's all right, folks. So I thought this stubby little tail made him look pretty cute, actually. But the main point of doing that was that it wouldn't fit in the egg otherwise, you see. So I made him shorter, and then I turned him into a hole, which in Tinkercad parlance means you're making something that will take away material. So if I put this hole in between the egg as it stands here and then join the pieces together, it'll leave a shape the same shape as what you made the hole out of. The problem was when I got this printed, I couldn't get my Jabba to fit in there quite right. I think maybe it was because, see, the thing is, I'm working with these files from 2 or 3 years ago, and I can't really remember what I did back then, but I think maybe I needed to resize this Jabba just slightly to make him smaller than the hole, because obviously if something is exactly the same size as a hole, it won't fit in. So I did that. It still wouldn't quite fit in, so I also then took a heat gun and heated up one at a time the sides of this egg and kind of pressed this in there just to sort of brute force it in there, and it would just required a little bit of adjustment, and then it would fit in. So that was kind of cool, and it, you know, it closes. Doesn't quite close as nicely as that one does, but it's close enough, I think. So I hope you enjoyed seeing Jabba the Yoke. I am not sure that I'm going to post this on Thingiverse as a remix because it doesn't work quite as well as I had hoped it would, but I don't know. If people want it, I can look into doing it. Just realize you're going to have to adjust it manually. Also, by the way, speaking of things from Thingiverse that I've made in the past, I thought I would show you one other Easter-themed, or actually two versions of an Easter-themed print that I did 2 or 3 years ago, and that is this. These are a couple of sort of wireframe bunnies. They're made with a pattern, I guess it's called voronoi, where it's kind of a, I don't know, it's a weird pattern, isn't it? It's a repeating hole pattern that makes a mesh that goes all over the entire thing. And then I also filled it with some Easter grass. This one has green and this one has pink Easter grass in it. Now, if you look at this, you may notice that there aren't any holes. Well, there's lots of holes, but there aren't any big holes, the kind that you could actually fill, Easter grass with. And I'm interested to know if anyone can figure out how I actually got the Easter grass in there. Well, if you don't want to know, pause the video for a minute and think about it. But basically what I did was to let it print most of the way up. I can't remember exactly how far I went. Maybe, up through most of the head. And then I paused the print and I put Easter grass throughout the entire model and let it print the rest of the way. And probably, you can see I got some up in the ears and things too. I think I probably did that part manually, just sort of stuffing some in there as I recall. But it's a cool effect because, if you looked at it just casually, there would be no obvious way of getting the Easter grass in there. Well, that's all for this short video today. Just thought you might want to see some of the things that I've done related to Easter in the past. And I've also made one other Easter-themed video. Boy, that must have been 4 years ago, perhaps. I don't know. It's up there. You can look at that if you like. In any case, I hope you're having a good Easter under the circumstances. And thanks very much for watching.